Swazdola, Sora, I am Seraphus, the Down Under Space Pirate. And look at that, I did return for another vid. So, carrying on from my last vid, talking about Tales of the Valiant by Kobold Press, I wanted to get to this one because there's a lot here that really needs the spotlight on it. But how about we stop faffing about and get on with it, shall we? This is Tales of the Valiant's Player's Guide 2. Okay, so you know how I've been saying that TOV's art style doesn't work for me, right? Well, this cover does work for me. How to explain? Because it has the beats of what you see with any other book, uh, but there's something about the design, posturing, imagery, what have you, that makes this more appealing to pick up, to me at least. It's almost like the normal TOV art style that the artist would make, and then someone's gone and spilled a cup of Frank Frazetta art style all over it, and I am here for that. Now, as much as I like it, art to me for anything cannot occupy more than 5% of a total scoring for a product for an RPG, because that's just not what we're here for. So this will have no relevance on the final judgment. I just like it. Now, our introduction here sets up what's in the book, more or less, the brief of each chapter, with some additional notes for those new or less movable on certain subjects. Basically saying, drek in this book is optional content, and should be discussed in a session 0, where when new mechanics are involved, kind of. My only issue with this is if people started their new games once the original core trilogy set for TOV came out, then either they would have to have had a session 0 in the future to predict new options that would come out after, or just generally agree that official TOV books were allowed content, making the whole point about session 0 in the intro redundant. Hence my snide remark of calling the book optional content. No, it's not. Anyway, quick chapter breakdown. Chapter 1, class options. Chapter 2, lineages and heritages. Chapter 3, backgrounds and talents. Chapter 4, equipment and magic items. Chapter 5, spellcasting. Chapter 6, expanded rules. And finally, the appendix of tables. Chapter 1, class options. So, there's a lot of new subclasses, options for the pre-existing classes of TOV, which is all the 5e PHB classes plus the TOV version of the Artificer, the Mechanist. However, these classes have been designed by actual game designers, whom some have experience in game design going back to TSR. So, no, all these classes work and they play individually from each other. A Ranger is a valuable class on its own, and the Mechanist actually plays like you know the secrets of magic items. But let's talk about the 3 new classes, shall we? The Thurge is a spellcaster, a full caster, who knows a secret. They can perform divine and arcane magic. They join the ranks of the int stat classes, like the Wizard and the Mechanist. Based purely on picking up a spot in a party based on the class, the ability to use divine and arcane magic is great. But that's really the superficial surface reading, because this class gets interesting the more you dive into it. The balance and duality of arcane and divine magic as options, eventually simultaneously, is pretty cool. But this class gets its teeth in its subclasses. As an example, one subclass allows you to completely nullify an opposing spell, spellcaster, or magic item. Oh yeah, it's going to be like that. The Vanguard is a leader, a champion of not only martial classes, but of a party or legion of soldiers. As a martial leader, they can command, strategize, and affect the morale of friend and foe. And they can whack you one good. You'll be able to summon a mystic banner to rally your forces. use special stratagems that can coordinate allies in encounters. And, well, to put it simply, the Vanguard is really impossible to break the morale of. Even in the face of an Archlich or a Demigod or even a Great Worm, the Vanguard can stand on its own without diving into its subclasses. Uh, it's that good. The Witch is possibly my favorite of these three new classes. Kinda wizardy, kinda mechanisty. The Witch initially looks like a new flavor of the Wizard, but then you get to the shadow crafting and spirit binding and hexes, and the base class at level 20 is basically Baba Yaga. But the witch's subclasses are what will make every witch different. You see, the subclasses are covens. The Crimson Cord are like the Greek fates. Cut the cord, change the destiny. Meanwhile, the Night Song are basically night hags, and I am all for that. But my favorite is the Twilight Soul because its spirit focused uh, design is awesome. Chapter 2, Lineages and Heritages. So, lineages are basically races, while heritages are cultures. Both these aspects make up a character's quote unquote race in that way. So, keep that in mind for TOV. So, the new heritages are the Dhampir, Dragonborn, Elemental Scion, Gearforged, Goblin, Rake Sans, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, who are little plant people, Sapopova, who are frog people, Shades, and Tosculi, who are insectoid wasp like people. The original lineages from Player's Guide 1 also have some expanded options here too for the Beastkin and Siderian, the latter being plain touch folk, but separate from the Elemental Scions, obviously. The Heritages offer some interesting new options too. Of them, the Coterminus Heritage and Ironwort Heritage have a very strong vibe to a certain game setting, but by the Progenitor Dragons, I just can't think of it. Meanwhile, the other one I like is the Phase 1 Heritage. It speaks to me on a personal level. Chapter 3, Backgrounds and Talents. Of the backgrounds, two stand out for me for different reasons. The first is the Gravedigger, which, okay, I seriously want to play a witch face one Gravedigger. This speaks to me personally. The other is the Investigator, and again, I can't help uh, that, like, the Gearforge, the Coterminus, and the Ironwort heritages. This is all very familiar. I wonder if throwing the Mechanist in there would help me remember. With the talents, we have at least a dozen new for magic, martial, and technical talents, and as always, these do not disappoint. Chapter 4, Equipment and Magic Items. In equipment, we have new armor types and armor materials, weapon types, weapon materials, and weapon properties, and some new adventuring gear like the bowler and Everflame torch. We then have new mounts and combat animals, as well as some new vehicles like Gnomish Balloon, like the Gnomish Balloon, is of particular entertainment. We then get new magic items, and boy, are there pages. We have trinkets, magic tattoos, and finally the new items themselves. To just point out a few, bagpipe, bagpipes of mesmerism, cloak of irrelevance, draconic staff, jester scepter, and the lyre of rumbling, which honestly is absolutely fucking metal. Oh, and the shovel of treasure finding. Like, don't tell my 3.5 party about this. Anyway, we also have some new fabled weapons to finish up the last few pages of this chapter. Chapter 5, Spellcasting. PG2 has its first few pages of spellcasting devoted to the spell point system for full casters, half casters, and subcasters. Now, I have never really liked how the spell point system was done. Uh, they always cap the number of higher tier spells and yet give you ridiculous amounts of spell points. Honestly, I came up with a relatively essential design that gives enough spell points to go nuts with lower level spells, but also to cast about five ninth level spells in total. I feel this homebrew was always a good go because, yeah, you could blow all your points on casting just a few ninth level spells, or you could just feel reassured that you had them, not that you used them. Always been my thought, but alas, the Kobolds followed the Beach Mages on this one again. A lot of new spells, some retooled from Kobold Press's Deep Magic material, but for the most part, new and great. Still missing Witch Bolt though. Can't help but feel that's unfortunate here, especially with the new Witch class, but oh well. Some great new ritual spells too. No notes right now. Chapter 6 Expanded Rules. So, this section is interesting because it gives us base building, downtime, expanded, epic advancement, and rewards expanded. And I know the usual types will be like, see, they're copying What's His Bastions. Except, yeah, nah, they aren't. Once again, the familiarity of the 5e system is all the kobolds seem to have taken from that edition because everything else harkens back to 3.5 or AD&D. Base building covers acquiring a base, expanding usable size and upgrading, 15 pages of facilities that you can build as part of your base, uh, 8 pages of personnel you can hire for your base and what they can provide to you, and mysteries that can be used as clues and story hooks for quests and adventures. The expanded downtime rules go into training up creatures, endeavors into criminal enterprises, and using infamy. The creature training really lends itself to stable master personnel and animal handlers, while the criminal and infamy stuff connects really well to the spy master and scout personnel. Epic Advancement brings in levels beyond 20, the progression chart that goes with it, and the feature table and epic level boons that you can get in addition to your class features. Having now played in an epic level campaign in 3.5 and looking over this, this is exactly the slimmed down version you'd want to hook people into the hobby. Again, I feel a harkening back to something like Beckme with this. Rewards expanded, unsurprisingly, expands on downtime and luck, but also presents Mystic Gifts and Prestige Awards. The former consisting of a series of charms with varying effects, while the latter offers things like estates, medals, and titles. This is a good instance where researching, say, an older Elder Scrolls game's guild ranks for title names might be a good idea. I would recommend Morrowind and Oblivion for a shortlist. Go through all the faction titles from Morrowind and then add the rank titles from Oblivion's Arena, as well as the champion names list. Trust me, just trust me on this. This would all add so much to your world. Again, just trust me on this. And lastly, appendix tables. This is a lot of various different tables, and honestly, I like it. It has race name tables, base name tables, pet name tables, beast name tables, etc., etc., etc. And again, this is in the player's guide too. They are expecting the players to have this information, and honestly, this is great. This is a great player's guide in general for a game like this with this system. Yeah, this is fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna be real. I fucking love that this book has the witch class and epic levels. It's not bad enough that Kobold Press made all the classes so much better, But then they went and turned the dial up to 11 for epic levels. I fucking love it. Makes me want to play this game. Personal preference, Cypher will always be my go-to. But yeah, I love that the witch class, and man, that subclass. Woo! But yeah, 3 new classes, epic levels, spells, talents. This is a player's guide too. Must have for any 2v game. So stop playing the Beach Mages game and play a functional game from the Kobolds. Fuck me, this was a long video. Now I remember why I did what I did, only covering the Mechanist with TOV's Player's Guide 1. Anyway, I'm going to get some rest because this is going to be killer to get edited. But yeah, should have the Labyrinth World book up next, and that might be shorter because I'm just kind of going over lore and maybe some mechanics. I think the mechanics are light, right? Right? Oh yeah, and MCG's new Numenera backer kit is live, so I'll drop a link to it in the description. Check it out. By the time this goes live, it'll probably have been up a week or so. So, I would shout out the Kobolds Night Terrors Kickstarter, but as of writing this, it's about to end in like 8 hours, so it's definitely ended now. All right. On that note, later, Space Dogs, Nexus, and Transmission.